8th on the agenda, which is the financial year Outturn report for 2014-15, together with medium-term financial plan for 2016-17, and a refresh and high-risk budget monitoring statement for 2015-16. Quite a lot of work encapsulated into this paper. And I'm going to ask Mr. Milner, the Acting Director of Executive Director of Finance, to introduce it, and I will then take the recommendations and deal with those. Mr. Milner.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, members. This report, as the Chairman says, summarises the financial outturn for 14-15, as well as identifying some of the future pressures and also the in-year position so far for 15-16. The report is fairly detailed, so I'll try and give you the highlights. In terms of the revenue account, the outturn was £1.2 million surplus. Members will recall we brought a paper in April which reallocated £1.1 million of that. The additional surplus of about 56,000, as it says in the report, will be allocated to the LIFT fund with recommendations for that to occur. So in terms of the overall revenue account, it was a really positive outturn given the position we were in probably quarter 2, quarter 3, where there was a forecast that we would actually be in a deficit. In terms of the capital programme, £53 million was spent in on the general fund, which is about 77% of the programme. Similarly, in the housing revenue account, 77% of the forecast programme was spent, which is about £18 million. The remaining unspent sums are identified within the report in terms of a rephased profiling, about £16 million for the general fund and £5 million for housing revenue account. The housing revenue account on its own returned a surplus of 113,000. So again, another positive position. In terms of the reserves, our unearmarked reserves, the final position is at £10 million. So that's the unearmarked. That's those reserves we set aside for a buffer for unforeseen events. This is in line with our MCFP forecast, and as you'll see, as you would have seen in the budget report, we're expecting those to move down to about 6 million by the end of March 2016. Treasury management, again, still is a difficult year in terms of the returns that we can actually get in terms of our cash flow position. At the end of the year, we had £43 million invested, and we struggled to get an average of about 1% in terms of the return on that. The report also just highlights the future pressures. At this moment, we're expecting we need to find about £18 million on the general fund over the next 2 years. That's probably a conservative estimate. We'll see. We might have an indication after the Chancellor's emergency budget in July as to where that position might move to. We've also highlighted some emerging issues in 2015-16, and they will be firmed up in the report that we bring to the next cabinet.
Thank you, Mr. Milner. If I can perhaps take us to the recommendations, there are 11 of them, and they're split into 3 sections, and I'll just highlight 1 or 2 issues, just as Mr. Milner has as well, in moving these en bloc. First of all, to stress that the majority of the outturn surplus, as we've heard, was reallocated at a previous cabinet meeting, but there is a small amount remaining, and consistent with what I said at the time of the budget statement in February, provided there was sufficient resource, then we would look favourably at extending the local improvement fund across the borough. It would seem that there is. We will therefore allocate the balance of £56,000 and add to it a further £25,000 from unearmarked reserves, so that we have sufficient to go forward with the local improvement fund requiring £81,000 for the year as a whole. And I'm sure that will be welcomed by members across the council. Intentionally left until now, I think with the new council having been formed, some new members, some previous members, starting with this process effectively in July, which it will be, gives plenty of time so that's what is proposed in this recommendation. Touching very briefly on the issue of the Council's reserves, this is completely consistent with the policy that we've adopted to unearmarked reserves over the last several years, when we built those up with a purpose in mind, which was to support most particularly vulnerable people in both the adults and the children's budgets. We've done that over the last several years. We've brought those unearmarked reserves down as a result of that. As we've heard from Mr Milner, during the course of this current year they'll fall from somewhere around £10.5 million down to 6 or so. We are having those under constant review so that they are of the quantum required, but at the same time allocated to the Council's priorities where there is any excess. The other recommendations outside of those first two, where the Cabinet is being asked to approve, there are a number, 3 through to 9, which are just for noting, and then the final two are Cabinet recommendations to Council about the year-end rephasing of capital schemes and the latest position over the medium-term financial plan. And of course that is a matter as a recommendation to Council, again consistent with the budget process and our obligation to continually update Council on that as we go forward. More will be revealed in the Chancellor's second 2015 budget next month, and we hope that the indications won't be quite as harsh as many have predicted, but we'll just have to wait and see. So I move those 11 recommendations and look for a second. Councillor Kelly, do you wish to speak? Councillor Kelly.
Thank you. I'd just like to second this motion and also give my huge thanks to the leader and all the members of the finance team for the work that they've done to achieve this outcome and allowing us to have our LIFT funding replaced again this year, because it matters so much towards to have these small community groups and different things being able to support those with our LIFT money. And I think it would have been a real shame had we not been able to do that, so thank you for that.
Thank you for those comments, Councillor Kelly. I'd quite like to build into the Cabinet report our thanks across both the executive team and the directors' leadership team of the Council for this outturn. Normally I just thank those in the financial side of the Council, the Executive Director, Ian Milner, and the Director of Strategic Finance, Mr Ingleton, who's with us this morning, but I would like to extend those thanks across the whole of the Director's leadership team of the Council, because it has been a struggle, a really difficult process, but one that we have come out on the right side. And I hope that gives confidence to the Council, and most particularly to the public, that consistent with previous years, despite those pressures, we have managed to deliver on budget, and indeed just the right side of on budget, and that will be our intention in the current financial year and ongoing through the medium-term financial plan. Are there any questions from members who are not on the Cabinet? Questions or comments from members of the Cabinet? No, in that case we'll go straight to the vote. All those in favour, please indicate.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, unanimous.
Thank you very much.